Is he embarrassed? Is that
Carol's here.
John could do a little. No.
Candace over there. You're wrong, man. So.
That's too bad. I hope you are.
Yep.
Well, I'm us to talk about.
Why I came this time. I usually come, so if you're at my usual seat.
But I have us to tell. Ask me. Remember, we're on.
How well they can hear you.
Well, the sound is on. Yeah, I do. Over the phone. Yeah. Give me a shout out. Okay.
Hey, Sarah. How's it going?
It's going well, thank you.
Well, they assign you a seat.
Oh, this is good. You coming next Monday night?
I'm planning on it. I was hoping for a little more inside scoop than I got.
Inside scoop.
The question I had.
Oh, yeah. All I can say is good luck.
That's the same, I know, and that's the bad part. And Kirk gave me the same thing you did.
I've tried at least a half dozen times to
Oh,
get
that's not good.
Governor Kemp in.
That's not good.
Stephen, do something nice for me. See if you can't get my chair to come up.
Yeah.
I was gonna steal yours.
There you go. Is that good?
It's perfect. Works.
If the home folks can't get through, then that's really bad.
Yeah, I tried to get him in for a big fundraiser event. It was eventually canceled, but non-committal. And I think if you're scheduling that far out, you're gonna get the same response. But at least, you know,
Well, and
I can get
know-
it tentatively on the
I
calendar.
know, you know, he's just crazy busy.
Yeah.
I get that, but they want him invited and I'm the inviter, so.
You might be able to get Marty Kemp to come in.
Well, I think she would be a better choice because she's a member of the garden club and one of the garden clubs in Washington.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be invited.
You can get the sign language guy to come in,
I can stand up there and do this.
but he does it so cool, you know?
Yeah.
This year, so we're gonna find out that he's not doing the right symbols.
Yeah.
That happened to somebody. The guy's been on staff for a long time, but somebody neglected to check his resume, and when he did, none of it was valid, and he was just up there having a good old time.
Really?
I guess it was some sort of office that people with hearing issues never really got through, so they never taught it.
Yeah.
Soon, essentially, everybody's better to see.
I'm not wearing a mask.
See, I'm not on principle, so I just wonder.
I'm in the Sarah Bell Club today.
What?
I said, I'm in your club. I'm not wearing a mask.
I'm just done with it. You know what I'm saying? I am so done.
I was done with it before it started. I
Well,
can't breathe with those things on.
well, and they don't protect anybody. really don't.
I work with
I am-
tribal kids, so I already had all the masks and all the cleaning materials.
Yeah.
Even at work. So.
Well, my doctor required me, I went in.
Do I have to have something to
original
tape
thing
me?
today. I had to put one on.
Do you want to put anything here to tape?
I did reverse this, so I didn't
Oh,
take it
no.
for
As long as I'm on the recording.
because it's
Okay.
print on the inside.
Okay.
Oh,
It's a reversible.
should have worn the wide print.
Yeah. But it
Come in with some
covers my
style.
N95, so I don't have to
Yeah.
strap the N95 with all.
Yeah, I'm flying to Washington DC on Wednesday night. I'm wondering if they're still
Seven,
making the
okay.
mask up on the flights.
Airports were already the nasty thing before.
Yeah.
I haven't been as healthy as I am now. Isolating and doing this more regularly.
Ready? Okay.
Well, we called it at this time. It depends on whether we have a forum.
We have four. That
Three online.
four.
We have Scott Green, Aaron Hilliard, and Kevin Jordan.
The Earth King's coming, we'll really try to get it.
Okay, one of you Spielbergs, cue me up if you're ready to go. Ready? All right. Welcome everyone to the Oconee County Planning Commission. It is a different meeting, as we can see by all of us doing our social distancing. So I'm going to call the meeting to order and then turn it over to staff, and Guy Hearing will speak, and I know Alex is going to cue in on some stuff with the Zoom. Thank you all first ahead of time to staff to all they've done to make this meeting possible. Guy.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Good evening to commissioners that are here and those that are Zooming in from home. This is a different meeting, so let me just lay a little bit of the groundwork. We will conduct this meeting similarly to our previous meetings. However, due to the fact that we have commissioners Zooming in remotely, we would ask them to go through this type of process. So those of you that are at home or in the audience that are at home Zooming in, to comment or ask a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom. If you're on a computer, click on the participants icon at the bottom of the screen and then click raise hand. If you're on a mobile device, tap the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. As always, please make sure you say your name and your address and then any comment or question. And with that, we will move forward with our meeting.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Herring.
Thank you.
First order of business will be the approval of the minutes of February 17th, 2020. So I ask for a motion and a second, please. Mr. Floyd makes a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Strickland, all of those in favor? Okay, we have, and what are our friends on Zoom state?
Karen is raising her hand, yes. And Gavin is raising his hand as well. And Scott Green is also raising his hand.
All right.
So we have unanimous approval
Yes,
from the three on, or four on the Zoom.
All right, thank you. The first order of business is going to be rezone number P20-009, Tommy Dukes, plus or minus 12.14 acres, AR3, which is agricultural residential district, to AR3, agricultural residential district, with modifications to rezone number 3576, south of Appalachian Downs Drive residential. So, Mr. Herring, please take it.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, this is P19-0009. This is Carol Duke's applicant and Tommy Duke's owner. Again, this is in the Appalachie Downs subdivision, just south of Appalachie Downs Drive. It's approximately 12 acres, currently zoned AR3, single-family residential. This is in the suburban character area. And again, they're requesting a modification of the previous rezone and concept plan of that rezone to subdivide just lot 12 of the Appalachie Downs subdivision into 2 lots, making lot 12A and lot 12B. Lot 12A would be 5.65 acres and lot 12B would be 6.49 acres. Staff recommends approval, conditional approval of the present request. And we will, this is the location. And this is Appalachie Downs subdivision showing the 12-acre parcel. Again, this is zoned AR3 and it is located in the rural places character area. And this is the concept plan of splitting the 12 acres into the 5.65 and the 6.49. And staff's approval with this condition, development, design, and structure shall meet or exceed the standards indicated on the concept plan, narrative, representative architectural sketches, and other documents submitted with the zoning application and attached here too. This condition shall not construe approval of any standard that is not in conformity with the UDC. I'll be glad to answer any questions when you have some.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the owner or the agent? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Carol Dukes, James C. Dukes, but anyway, I'm Carol Dukes. Tommy Dukes is my wife. I know that's a little odd. All we're asking to do is just split up our 12-acre tract into 2 tracts, staying with standards of the community, which we developed back in '05. We were the developers of that development at that time. And we're just, at the time we developed, I think 3 lots were all you could have off private drive. It has since been changed to 5 lots, and we're just simply requesting that we be allowed to split it up.
All right. You have down here in opposition, but I think you meant, I've got James and Carol Dukes, you're actually in favor.
Yeah,
correct?
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Just
I didn't have my glasses on.
well, here, same here. Has anyone on the commission, do they have any questions?
We have a raised hand from Gavin George.
All right, if you can wait just a second, we'll let Alex get the question.
All right, Gavin, you can ask your question.
No questions.
Okay. All right, I think we're good. I think it was raised from a previous.
All right, thank you for your patience. Anyone that is seated here at the commission table have any questions of Mr. Dukes?
No.
Thank you for your information.
Okay, that's all.
That's it, sir. Mr. Hearing, do you want to see if they have any questions of you at this point in time? We can first start with those commissioners that are on Zoom. Do they have any questions of Mr. Hearing?
No raised hand.
All right, that being said, are there any questions from those here at the table? Do any of the commissioners have a question?
So I'm assuming there's no other public comment?
No, we have no other, we've had none.
No, I don't have any questions.
Ms. Floyd, do you have any questions? I do not have any. So with that being said, I'd like to put on the table, I'm requesting a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone case P19
Excuse me, I'm sorry, but Chairman, if you could just open it up to the public.
All right,
just
sir.
in case there is someone online that might have a comment.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Alex, excuse me. Is there anyone online that has a question?
There are no raised hands for any online.
All right, that being said, we come back to the table. I'm asking for a motion.
I'll make a
I'll
motion to
turn-
approve rezone case P19-0009 with one condition recommended by staff.
And I'll correct that, it's P20 dash 009. I need a second on that, please. Mr. Floyd seconds. All those in favor, I'm going to start with Mr. Camp. Yes or no? I mean, Mr. Hunt.
Yes.
Stephen? Mike? All right, would you ask our colleagues online whether they agree or not to this motion, please?
Okay. I'm gonna unmute Karen Hilliard first.
Oh, I'm good. I agree. I've got my hand raised.
All right. Thank you, Karen.
But you might be wrong.
I'm gonna unmute Gavin Jordan.
Okay. Should we get clarification on that?
Mhm,
Gavin
I'll
Jordan,
show.
you're unmuted. Mr. Jordan, you are unmuted. You can state your
Vote.
vote.
Chairman, if you would call out their names, because they may not be able to hear anything going on in the background. So just call out their names for a roll vote.
Okay, we're gonna call out a roll vote for those of you that are on Zoom, so please bear with us. Karen Hilliard, what is your vote, please?
So I'm voting in favor.
Thank you, Karen. Brian Folsom.
I do not believe he is on.
All right, sir. Scott Green, we're going to unmute you and ask for your vote, please.
Scott Green, you're unmuted.
I agree.
Thank you, Scott. And Gavin Jordan, we're going to unmute you and ask for your vote, please.
I agree.
Thank you, Gavin. That being said, the rezone has approved unanimously. Grace, I have a question, Scribner. It has on the agenda P20, but then on our plans, it has P19. So whichever, please let us know. Okay, thank you. All right, let's go to the next rezone, which is P20-0013, John Allen Drew LLC, plus or minus 4.52 acres, AG Agricultural District to B1 General Business District, south of Georgia Highway 316, west of Dials Mill Extension, and north of Dials Mill Spur Commercial. Mr. Herring, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, this is P20-0013. John Williams and Associates applicant, John Allen Drew owner. Again, this is located at Dials Mill Extension and 316. It's approximately 4.52 acres. It's currently zoned AG. It is currently a single-family residential lot and a vacant lot. And the future development map character area designation for this location is suburban neighborhood. The requested action is the rezoning to B1 General Business District. So again, the petitioner is requesting to rezone the property from AG to B1 to allow for the development of 2 medical office buildings. Staff recommends denial of this present request because it does not match the comprehensive plan. And this is the location you'll see right off of 316 on the western edge of the county. Again, the aerial photography of the 2 lots and the subject lots. Again, the parcels and surrounding zoning and the current zoning of AG. And this is the future development map indicating suburban neighborhood for that portion of the county. This is the concept plan that was provided showing the two buildings and associated stormwater detention and septic field and access location. So again, staff has recommended denial. However, should the request be approved, staff recommends that the following conditions be added. 4 conditions. Number 1, development design and structure shall meet or exceed the standards indicated on the concept plan, narrative, representative architecture sketches, and other documents submitted with the zoning application and attached here too. This condition shall not construe approval of any standard that is not in conformity with the Unified Development Code. Number 2, the owner, all at the owner's expense, shall construct the improvements required by the county for public water and public wastewater services for subject property and shall convey same to the county free of all liens. Said improvements shall include all on-site improvements and such off-site improvements as are required by the county to provide service to the subject property. Number 3, at its expense, the owner shall make all right-of-way improvements and shall dedicate all rights-of-way which are required by the county after the county's review of owner's development plans pursuant to the county's ordinances and regulations. No development permit shall be issued until owner has agreed to such improvements and dedication. And number 4, the total building square footage shall not exceed 12,000 square feet. Thank you.
We'll bring it back to the. Thank you. I think it is. Thank you. All right, we're going to bring it back to the owner agent. If they would like to please come forward, we welcome you. Hello.
Hi, my name is Kevin Bear. I live at 1020 Christian Lane. I'm with W&A Engineering, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the petition. First of all, I'd like to touch on a couple of items that were mentioned in the report from Guy. First is the stated future land use incompatibility. And I'd like to hit on the fact that currently there are only 3 lots adjacent to the entire roadway of 316 in Oconee County that carry the suburban neighborhood designation. On the other hand, there are 44 lots of various sizes adjacent to Highway 316 with a technology gateway designation, with dozens more just off of the right-of-way, all leading into a couple hundred parcels as listed as regional center on the future land use map, including when Georgia Highway 316 was initially designed, it was intended to be a professional office corridor leading from Metro Atlanta to the University of Georgia with this type of use running its path. And I'd also like to hit on the notion that it's not compatible with the surrounding parcels. First of all, the property adjacent to this tract to the east is zoned B2 and OIBP, and to the north is zoned OBP on the opposite side of 316. So a so-called land use island would not be created by granting this request. Secondly, B1 would serve as an adequate transitional zoning between the existing residential area to the south and arterial Georgia Highway 316 to the north. Thirdly, several subdivisions as well as downtown Statham and Bogart are located within 2 miles of the subject property, and that would more than adequately support this type of low density use. Those subdivisions include Dials Mill Plantation, Wildflower Meadows, Belfair, and the Georgia Club. Also of note, along this stretch of 316, Barrow County has the future development designation of 316 Innovation Corridor leading into Oconee County, which calls for, among other uses, research and development centers, information technology offices, and medical developments, all of which mirror the current adjacent Oconee future land use designation of technology gateway to our east. Finally, I would like to touch on site coverage. The planning department has recommended a condition that the total building square footage of the development not exceed 12,000 square feet on the 4.5 acre parcel. The applicant does not have an issue with this condition. This condition will limit the overall site coverage from around 45,000 square feet of impervious area, or 23% of the total site. This would include buildings, parking, sidewalks, and drives. The current allowable coverage in B1 is 70%, or 137,824 square feet of this parcel. Acceptance of this rezone request and its condition would cap the impervious area by almost 2/3 of what would be allowed by right, a reduction of around 92,000 square feet or over 2 acres from the allowable coverage. It is due to these factors that we believe this parcel should be looked at with the same eye as the adjacent technology gateway tracks and rezoned to B1. Thank you.
All right, sir.
Also, Guy, the owner came in after the sign-up sheets were pulled. Is it possible for him to? Do I need to direct that question? I'm sorry. Ma'am, the owner came in after the sign-up sheets were pulled. Is it possible for him to still speak on behalf
All
of
right,
this project?
I have your name down here, correct, Kevin?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I cannot read the
That-
other name on there.
That's not the owner. The
Okay.
owner is John Drew, sorry.
All right, John Drew. I wish someone could decipher.
That's Carl Nichols.
All right, Mr. Nichols. All right. We'll hear from Mr. Nichols first, and then we'll hear from Mr. Drew if that's possible.
Madam Chairman, before he leaves the podium, can I ask him one quick question just for clarification? You did say you were okay with condition number 4. Is that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back to all of them for any of y'all's questions, if that's all right.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Nichols, may we hear from you, please? Welcome and thank you.
Can I take this off where I can talk?
I'm kind of having to go the same route.
My name is Carl Nichols. I reside at 850 Beaver Dam Road, Winterville, Georgia. And I've been a resident of that area for about 47 years. My office is located in Oconee County, Georgia, and we work diligently with things here to try to improve the county as it is. This particular parcel and where it's located, it's not residential. It hadn't been residential in many years. The house that was on it is torn down. And as you can see, there are many thousands of cars that will be going in the back of this property every day, morning and night. People going to Atlanta, people coming home from Atlanta, people living in that general area. Mr. Drew, as he will say and speak to you in just a minute, has been a professional in the medical services in Athens and Clark County and Oconee County for many, many, many years. He is a very stout professional in this. And as we talked about what would be the ultimate use in this property, rather than somebody from the Georgia Club or Statham or this area, which does not have any real intense medical service, if I'm sick one night and I've got this CV-19, I don't have to drive to Athens. I can get it right here. And I would get very professional service within this community. And I just think it's a unique use for a very unique piece of property. And I think it would be great for Oconee County to have this particular project developed in our county here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Mr. Drew, John Drew, if you'd like to come forward and speak, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is John Drew, and I have been the CEO of Athens Regional Health Services for 30 years, and I retired about 7 or 8 years ago. And during that interim, I've had a lot of roles relative to healthcare and relative to Oconee County. Myself and my staff were instrumental in setting up the first urgent care center, which eventually turned into the Oconee campus on the 316 connector. We actually built the building that the internal medicine group is in Stonebridge, and recruited all the physicians to come out here and provide services in that end of the county. And I was involved in the integration of EMS with national EMS, with Clark County and Oconee to try to coordinate services so they would be much improved and have ready backup. So I really understand healthcare in this community a lot. And I was also on the original 316 planning group before the road was ever even built. And little side comment, we didn't have a name for it. And it was a group made up of people from Athens, from Oconee County, from Barrow County, from Gwinnett County. And I said one day, I said, well, why don't we name it University Parkway? And the people I said, the people in Athens will think it was named as the entryway to the University of Georgia. And the people in Atlanta will think it was the entryway to Emory University and Georgia Tech. So nobody should debate that name. But as Carl said, it was originally planned as a professional office technology park corridor. And so when this land became available, I thought, what a great opportunity for a very small medical practice there. And as the county started developing, with the Georgia Club coming along, with all of the homes being developed behind that property, and now with the Piper's Glen going up in Bogart, and knowing that the only practitioner in this part of the county is Mike Cobb, and when he retires, there's nothing. And so I was thinking, what a great place to have an IMPs. That's a physician who's trained in internal medicine and pediatrics, with a couple of nurse practitioners, have a very limited practice to serve the growing needs of this particular area of the county. And so that's sort of how I got to getting with these planners and Carl to try to figure out what could we do on 4.5 acres, a very limited basis. For years, I was renting a tear down house there, and finally it was in such bad shape. The lady's husband passed away, and she wanted to leave, and I looked at repairing it. I said, no, we just need to tear it down. It was a safety hazard. And there is a trailer on the land. Elderly lady by the name of Mrs. Huff owns the trailer. She pays me a very small rent, $100 a month, to use the land. She's been there for years and years and years. And I didn't have the heart to ask her to leave. But I've gone and met with all the neighbors and, laid out what my thoughts and my plan was. And I've had nothing but support and no objections from the people adjacent to that property at all. And so I hope that with that, and my academic background is obviously in healthcare. I've got an MBA and a business degree, and I've got a degree in epidemiology and public health from Yale. And this coronavirus thing going on is stretching my use of that last degree to no end, because I'm constantly getting calls from people saying, what should I do? And my comment is sit tight. I mean, I'm actually trying to help right now, help the Civic Center in Athens figure out how to deal with the possibility of reopening safely. And I've talked to lots and lots of people at the University of Georgia about, what their intentions are. And it's a challenge. But like Carl said, having something like that, God forbid something like this comes up the road again, there's someone for that growing population to go to seek health care rather than going to one of the urgent care centers or going into Athens or into Winder. I think it would be a great asset for this particular part of the county. And it really does fit in with the intentions that were originally planned for 316.
Right.
So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Drew. We do not have anyone here in the building that is in opposition. I'm going to turn over to, we do?
I am in opposition. And
All right. Oh, well, just a minute, ma'am, please. Please. I don't have it on here. I apologize. Come up and state your name. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't have any.
That's okay. That's okay. Welcome. No, you just have to go to the podium and state your name and address.
Okay, my name's Kate Carpenter, and this is my daughter Zoe Carpenter, and we own a house at 1061 Dow's Mill Extension. I have never met the person that said that he met all the neighbors and talked to them about this. I found out through the internet, and honestly, I have a lot of problems with it, not just because I live there, but because I've got a lot of neighbors that live there, and they've been there for a long time. The property that he purchased actually came from a friend of mine, Jenny. Her father passed away, and the little lady that lives in the trailer is her aunt. I'm sorry, I don't know a whole lot of names or last names, but you know who I'm referring to, hopefully. And apparently, when he passed, it was supposed to be in the will, I guess, that the lady that was living on the trailer on the property was to be deeded that property to stay there because she's been there forever and ever. But that's not what happened, and there was a problem with the will, I guess. And he came in and he bought the property, from what I understand. And the house, I'll agree that it was probably dilapidated. I've never been inside of it, but from what I understand, the house was taken out. And we didn't know at that point that there was any kind of future plans for any kind of development. And Jenny, unfortunately, is not here, and this is why I came, because I didn't know if any of my neighbors would be here. But already at Dow's Mill Extension in 316, I can't tell you how many wrecks I've went and assisted with. And it's a bad intersection anyway. And as y'all probably well know, you know the numbers more than I do, but I've seen many wrecks there. And it just kind of concerns me that he's bringing all this traffic up Dow's Mill Spur that really can't support it. It really can't. It's a dead end road. All the people have been there forever and ever. It's pretty quiet. It is residential, despite what he said. And it is agricultural, and I have a small farm, and, you know, I provide for my family, and it will definitely negatively impact me with the increase of traffic and bringing it all onto Dow's Mill Spur, which is a very short distance, as you could see, from 316 to Dow's Mill Extension to Dow's Mill Spur. Dow's Mill Extension, yes, it does get traffic, people cutting in from 78, well, Dow's Mill Road to get to 78 to get out to Walton County. But increasing it with that kind of facility is going to be really congested and really backed up, and it is going to affect me. The other thing is there's plenty of parcels right around there that would support the kind of facility that he wants to build. So, you know, I don't know why this particular spot is the one that he decided to buy and try to go ahead with this. There's plenty of parcels right around that area that would definitely fit into his plans and the county's plans and not have such a negative impact on the traffic patterns. I also think if you're going to put that kind of facility in, that you should have to put drives and, you know, some kind of caution, some kind of DOT stuff to support those extra influx of people for that kind of facility. There was one other point I wanted to make, and I had notes in my phone, but I was trying to keep my phone off. But definitely there's, you know, enough medical facilities within the area, regardless of what's going on with the world and its health. I know personally I have had to go or take somebody to a hospital, urgent care, whatever, from my house right there, and I could be at the Epps Bridge urgent care in less than 10 minutes. I can be at the Watkinsville urgent care in less than 10 minutes. I can be at the hospital probably, give or take, everything's going good, 15 minutes. So there's definitely enough facilities within the area to support the health needs of the county and that area. And there's definitely other parcels that could be utilized to build something that he wants to build out. I mean, I'm all for what he's doing. That's fine. But, you know, I just think that it's just going to negatively impact me personally. My house is a single mother with my daughter and our animals, and our little world is going to be completely different. It's a farm. It's quiet. I milk goats in the morning and watch the birds. And if this comes to our area, my dogs are going to be going nuts. My animals are going to be stressed. And it's just going to be a burden on us traffic wise on that extension road. And honestly, I'm not an expert. I'm not a DOT person. I don't know what an extension road is rated for, but, you know, I don't think that it's fair to make that little road that has maybe 5, 6 houses on it, support, you know, all that extra traffic that's going to be coming into that facility.
Thank you, Mrs. Carpenter. I'll try once again. I don't think we have anyone else in the audience or outside. Do you have none? All right. Thank you, Alex. We're going to bring it back to the commissioners. And if you all have any questions of the agent or the owner, I'll start with you, Mr. Hunt, and you can ask your questions. And we'll go around to Mike and then on to our Zoom commissioners.
I apologize. I snuck mine in. The idea that they're willing to limit it to 12,000 square feet. Snuck that one in there.
That's okay. You have anything, Stephen?
No questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Ms. Floyd does not. Our colleagues on Zoom, if you all have any questions, please raise your hand so Alex can open your mic. All right, Karen, please state your question and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, this is a question for planning staff. My question is, what would, under the current zoning, what can you foresee as the type of use for this property? Would you expect to see single family homes built on the property that would be that close to 316, or would there be something else potentially there?
The suburban neighborhood character area would support single family in this area.
That's just a comment from me then about this is I normally support whatever the future development map says in terms of the character area. I'm really torn about this one because I don't feel like it's a place that could support a single family home right there on 316. And in fact, whenever I see developments that are built that close to a busy road, I feel like it actually cheapens the area and is a negative thing because often there's not really an adequate buffer of land that's left because people are trying to get all the value out of the land that they can. So that's my concern here, is that what might come along there as a single family development would not be what we would want to see, and would also create some traffic issues and problems for whoever develops the land. And that's it. That's my comment. And thank you for answering my question.
Thank you, Karen. Alan? All right, Gavin, please state your question. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Please
Okay.
state your question. Thank you.
Yes. My question followed up with a little bit with Karen's. Do we have any information from the staff on why that parcel was not put or in that corner in regards to a buffer was not put in the technology gateway? originally? Because it seems kind of odd the way it's blocked out right there in comparison to the others.
Thank you, Gavin. If you could see still the shared screen, okay, hang on a second.
Yeah, I see that. I have a copy of it here.
Okay, yes, sir. So the suburban neighborhood is actually that entire area, that boundary. If we zoomed out, it would follow even further to the south and southwest. That was a good demarcation line at the time. And the comments that we received through the comprehensive plan process, there were no comments for this area to be anything other than the suburban neighborhood as shown here.
Right. Now, in regards to suburban neighborhood, that parcel, in terms of its depth and the setbacks, how much of the parcel would be not able to be developed under the suburban neighborhood if it was all business on that site?
If it was, I'm not sure I follow the question.
If it is a suburban neighborhood allows for a business development on that site, it's just a much smaller parcel. Is that the case?
No, sir. Suburban neighborhood only allows for single family residential. So
Okay.
it
does not allow for any mixed use. I'm sorry.
Correct. Yes, sir. It does not allow for any commercial use.
Okay.
Right.
I have one other question. That parcel, in terms of the size and the fact that since I'm new here, I'm obviously not a valued contributor necessarily yet. Well, that's to be determined, but you all are definitely been doing this a while. But my question is, if we weren't here later and this was brought up by this person or another person, we wouldn't have any control at that point on stopping, say, for example, a convenience store or some sort of other, trying to rezone for that. And it is a fair ways out, out of town there in terms of service stations and things like that, which I just thought, this seems to be a very small constructed building on a 4-acre piece of land, which allows us to leave some pretty good green space there as buffers to the suburban neighborhood area. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Gavin. All right, that being stated, I'm going to ask one more time if any of the commissioners here have a follow-up question.
So Scott didn't have anything?
No.
I wrote in my notes that one of the reasons I got on the commission back in about 2008 or so was some of the spot zoning that was happening out in for instance, the neighbors' lots that have already been changed to OPI or OIP and so forth. So on first look at this, I was, if those hadn't already been zoned for businesses and they haven't been built on, we wouldn't even be considering this particular parcel and it wouldn't have been imagined. And in fact, that blue line would be up above and over to the right on that picture, because I was on the 30-year projection plan, and in a lot of cases like this, we just have to go with the zoning that was already there as we made the plan, and that's how it ended up blue where it is blue and residential. And the idea that that particular parcel is too small for a residential, but it wouldn't be too small if it was collected in other parcels and a bigger project like the 1,000 Mill Plantation was done at some point. It would still make for a residential area. So I was leaning like Gavin and Karen, a little concerned about, yet another spot zoning. I guess I would feel better if there was some limitations as to B1 businesses, and if we could add a condition 5 that said this was for medical office more strictly, it might be more compatible, and it sounds like it would be what their intentions are. So I'll throw that out to my commission members to consider.
All right, thank you, Chuck. His question, do we have the authority to limit what can be built there? That's,
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. You have the ability
Like that
to
all the time.
make
Just-
your recommendation with conditions.
Usually it's
but
10 or 15 choices.
that's what I'm saying. We're limited to one, and that is allowable. Okay. All right, is there any other questions, gentlemen? No, right. Thank you, Alex. With that being said, I'm going to bring it back to the commissioners, and I'm going to ask for a motion. I'll give you all a few seconds to think. Raise your hand, be recognized. And Alex, I'm going to also ask if you'll see if there's any raised hands for a motion from our colleagues on Zoom, please. I have to get a motion. I'm trying to make sure if they want to include the motion, I don't want to leave them out of it. Okay. Mrs. Carpenter, I'm sorry, the public portion is closed, so but hold that thought. Have we got anyone that has a motion on the rezone P20-0013?
Well, I'll go ahead and make the motion that I suggested, and that being condition 5, of course, it might be advantageous to hear if the owners would even consider it, but my condition number 5 of the B1 allowed businesses limit this parcel to medical business practices only. Is that sufficient, you think? And we could list, there's probably 5 or 6 different varieties of medical type offices that I'm alluding to.
Okay.
So with that condition 5, I would then ask that the commission consider approval of this rezone.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hunt. Okay, Karen, please.
Yeah, I'll second.
All right, we have a second from Karen. And I'm going to go through the roll call for yes or no. I'm going to start with Scott Green, either a yes or no on the motion that is on the table.
Yes.
All right. Mike Floyd, I'm asked, we've got a yes. Okay. Brian is absent. Chuck Hunt?
Yes.
Yes. Penny is absent. We have Karen Hilliard. We have a yes from Karen.
Yes.
Made the motion? Okay, just for the record. Stephen?
No.
No. Gavin Jordan, if you'll unmute. All right, thank you, Alex.
There we go. Yes.
Okay. That is everyone, so this motion passes. Oh, he has joined. All right. I'm sorry, Brian. May I have your vote, please?
Yes, I approve. I'm sorry, I've joined earlier on my granddaughter's account, so my name wasn't showing up right. But
All right. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
Welcome. All right. So we have approval. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 no. So the condition, the rezone passes with those 5 conditions. All right. Thank you all. All right. We're going to move on to the next rezone, which is rezone number 20-0030 William B. Jones, plus or minus 32, excuse me, Ms. Carpenter, we're moving on. Plus or minus 0.79 acres, B2 Highway Business District to B2 Highway Business District with modifications to, this is for rezone number 7702, southwest corner of the US Highway 78 and Mars Hill Road Commercial. All right, Guy, if you'll please present it, we thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. This evening you have P 20-0030. The applicant is JPC Design and Construction. Owner is William B. Jones. Again, this is at 78 Mars Hill, approximately 32 acres, currently zoned B2. It is currently undeveloped, but there was a rezone most recently that came before you guys, and that was from a AG to a B2 zoning for all these parcels, and there were the conditions on that that staff and the board and the Board of Commissioners approved. And now the property owner is petitioning for the rezone modification to rezone number 7702 in order to remove those conditions, actually remove condition number 7 only, which eliminates a proposed site driveway number 3. Staff and Public Works staff recommend denial of this present request. And you'll see on the screen the location at 78 Mars Hill. This is the aerial view of the property, AJ's, and then you'll see it's zone B2. And it's in Technology Gateway. And this is the site plan that is being proposed to be allowed, which would be this intersection at this location right here. So the previous condition eliminated this entrance. It would require that they come down and into the property at that location and this location due to the proximity of the intersection of Mars Hill and 78. And the petitioner is requesting that that entrance be allowed.
Thank you, Mr. Herring. Can we have comments from the owner or agent, please? Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Stephen Rowland. I'm with Rowland Engineering. My office is at 318 Corporate Parkway, Macon, Georgia, 31210. I want to reiterate, or I guess remind that we are not seeking a rezone. We're happy with the zoning that we were given back when this property was rezoned to B2. We're only seeking to remove one of the conditions that was placed on that rezoning. And that would be, the condition was to eliminate the driveway off of Mars Hill Road. During the design of the development, we have submitted plans for review. However, because of this condition, those are on hold at this time. The review is on hold. So we are, in looking at the area and going through the design, we noticed that the racetrack convenience store caddy corner across the road has a driveway off Mars Hill Road servicing their site. They are the competition, so to speak. So we did some redesign. In redesigning, the main road that goes through that parallels Highway 78, we pushed that road back, gave all that space that you see behind the parking and that road, and placed a driveway, basically mirror image of what Racetrack has on the other side of the intersection, assuming that if it would be allowed on that side of the road, we were hoping that we could get the same thing. Same spacing back from US 78 on both sides. We are asking for a full access driveway. And like I said, we've updated our traffic study as part of the rezoning. We were required to perform a traffic study. The traffic study has been updated to include this driveway along with the other entrances shown. And we're asking for your approval to be able to add that driveway on Mars Hill Road.
All right. We may have some more questions for you, please,
Sure.
afterwards. Thank you, Mr. Rowland. Mr. Jeremy Crosby, please. Mr. Crosby, welcome.
I'm Jeremy Crosby, 264 Alabama Boulevard, Jackson, Georgia. I work with Mr. Rowland, does all our engineering. I represent Jones Petroleum. And just like Kid mentioned, all we're asking for what our neighbor has across from us there in our competition on Mars Hill Road, which I think they may be on the busier side of Mars Hill Road. Their racetrack is a full access driveway into the site off Mars Hill with I think we may be even, our driveway may be further off 78. Is it further? Yeah, we're actually got it moved back a few more feet off 78 than Racetrack does with their driveway. So just asked to, if we could modify our plan to include that driveway into the site.
All right. Thank you,
Thanks.
sir. We may have some more questions. I do not see on the sign-up sheet any opposition. Is there any opposition out there? Alex, do we have any opposition out in Zoom world? All right, sir. If you'll open that up and we shall listen.
He's a commissioner.
All right, so Bruce has joined us. All right. All right, that's okay. That's okay. We'll go to Bruce at the time when we bring it back to the commissioners. You understand, Bruce? All right. Do we have any other questions from the audience? Okay, I'm going to close the public portion and we're going to move to my colleagues, and I shall start with, why don't we start on the opposite side? I want Mike to feel left out. If you have some questions, please.
If we approve this turn area in the property, how will that work with the drive-through for the Burger King? Because it looks like to me the queuing, if the car turns in there, they would have to come up, make a U-turn to get into the driveway, the order lane for the Burger King.
Do you need a pointer?
I do, yes. Thank you. At least it wasn't toilet paper. How does this thing work? What do I push? Ah, there we go.
You got
All
it?
right.
All right,
We're
thank
talking
you.
about a car coming in right here. The menu order boards are right there. So basically he would just come around the side and he could fall right into the line right there. Now, if the menu order boards are backed up around the corner, he may have to circle through and back around. But that, basically the same.
So you answered my question. I was curious where the queuing would be for the order station.
Right.
So you're saying really the queuing is behind.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. The menu boards, the order boards are right there. The drive-through window pickup is right here on the side, on this side of the building.
That answered my question.
Thank you.
Stephen, have you got some questions, please?
No questions.
No questions? Mr.
My
Chuck?
question is more to staff.
All right.
One of the things I've done with this COVID time is I've taken a bunch of stuff off to be shredded, so I didn't have my original of this. But it seems like we didn't put that condition 7 in. It must have been the Board of Commissioners.
Based on recommendations from Public Works, yes.
Okay.
So you're giving us the history of it, and that's appreciated.
Like I said, I don't think it was there when we
Yeah.
considered it the first time. It had a driveway there, but the Board of Commissioners who
All right.
still have to vote on this
Absolutely.
were the ones that put the restrictions.
All right. I'm going to start back to our Zoom colleagues. We'll start with Scott Green. If he has any questions, please. Scott?
I don't have any questions at this point.
Thank you, Scott. Brian Frofson. Brian, do you have any questions, please?
more of a comment because I do live in that area. To me, and I think the other gentleman made a comment of that, people would have to make a U-turn to make sense to have access off Mars Hill. We're right at a controlled intersection. People wanting to get back on 316 would be able to go through the controlled and make a left. So to me, it makes sense. But like I said, the county board put that condition in there. But again, I think it would make sense to have that extra drive in that area.
All right, thank you, Brian. Karen Hilliard. Karen, do you have any questions, comments?
No specific comment on this. I was just going to ask that the commissioners at the table, if they could speak into their microphones just a little more. I can hear you fine, Maria, but I can't always hear what people are saying around the room.
All right. Thank you, Karen. Okay, Bruce McPherson, we're going to unmute you and see if you have any questions or comments or guidance.
Thank you. Well, my first comment is that I've been here from the beginning. So hadn't missed anything yet. Looking at the site plan, it's the entrance off Mars Hill that they're questioning, right?
Yes, sir.
And what was the reason given that they did not want to include that?
I'm going to turn this over to Guy. Mr. Herring.
Hey, Bruce, thank you. I don't know if you can see the screen or not, but if we can share that screen with Bruce, it is this intersection. There you go, right there, where the hand's moving.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, Public Works recommends that being eliminated due to the conflicts of turning into a turn lane. If you notice in your packet, you have the trip distribution and site generation numbers there. It's figure 5 on page 13 of the A&R engineering. And you'll notice that they're proposing on that site driveway 3, which is number 5 there, 75 left turns into that access there, which would mean turning across those lanes of traffic coming down Mars Hill. So it's the location that's in proximity to the intersection of Mars Hill and 78, plus it's the conflicts that could be had by a full access intersection at that location. And that was the reason that Public Works suggested the full access be actually down at that spine road that runs through the middle of the property.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Gavin Jordan. Mr. Jordan, do you have any comments, questions, or we're going to unmute Mr. Jordan.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
May I ask, what was the reasoning that Public Works wanted to eliminate it? It was just that left-hand turn off of Mars Hill would be crossing the inbound traffic?
That and the proximity to Mars Hill and 78, the distance from that proposed driveway is too close to 78, the intersection of 78.
Gotcha. Isn't 100 feet the minimum, or that it has to apply? Is that correct?
No, sir. I believe it's longer than that, and I don't have that number in front of me. But Public Works had suggested, and the full access down at the Spine Road.
I got you. Well, I just wanted to understand it a little bit more because it dawned on me trying to look at the plat here that of the entranceway of the next drive, which will be the drive that takes the customers into the park area in addition to their access to the station there on the corner. Is that just a two-way drive going in, or should we consider a 3-lane there with a middle lane to allow traffic to back up before they turn left into the backside of the gas station?
Yeah, I think that would be a question for their engineer.
Yeah, that's just a traffic study thing that may not have been considered in the original traffic study.
Mr. Rowland, you want to make a comment on that, please? Mr. Rowland's going to make a comment on your question.
Are you referring to what would be the left turn directly into the back of the station of the Burger King convenience store?
Yeah, off of driveway 2, I think he's talking about, if everybody had to
Right
come
there.
in driveway 2, there may be a stack of people trying to get to the Burger King and the gas station as a result that you might have to accommodate by having a third lane, a turning lane there.
That wouldn't be an issue. We do have 3 lanes exiting out for stacking, kind of a dedicated right turn lane going back towards 78 on that road. But I could see that possibly being an issue if this driveway is not allowed on Mars Hill Road. That means everybody has to come to the main, what we call the main road, to get into the development. But I don't see an issue with providing an additional left turn in the back of the Burger King if we need to.
I don't typically make too much of a comment, but Mr. Rowland, if this moves along, you may want to have the design with the 3 lane.
Okay.
That may be a suggestion.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Would anyone have any other questions? Mr. Floyd has a question.
Well, I have a comment. We seem to be comparing this to the gas station across the street. And in some ways it's a good comparison, but in a lot of ways it's not. And the reason why I say it's not a good comparison is because you have a major shopping center behind this area, and all the traffic coming out of that shopping center who wants to go down Mars Hill Road or go back towards Athens have got to come back out to that red line. Unless they go down 78 and make a U-turn. So there's going to be a lot of stacking on Mars Hill Road right there at that intersection. And so you'll have stacking of cars to get through that intersection, plus cars coming up Mars Hill Road trying to take a left where there's not a red light or anything at all, trying to come into the gas station. So I think, while I'm not opposed to try and provide better access to the gas station, I think we should be looking at the best access for this whole development. And I think the best access and traffic pattern is looking at the whole, not a small piece. So that's my statement.
All right. Thank you, Mike. You want to make a comment, Mr. Crosby?
Yeah, one clarification. As of right now, as we sit here and speak, the only thing I can tell you about the whole development is we plan to do the C-store and the Burger King. We don't have anything under contract. We don't have any tenants or anything for that whole development. We were required to draw this site plan in order to get it zoned. So I guess all I can say is right now we have plans to go forward with the Burger King and the C-store and gas station. The rest of it is right now is pie in the sky, especially in the economy we're in with this COVID-19 right now. We don't have a contract or a suitor on any of the parcels right now, other than we own the gas station and the Burger Kings and do those ourselves, and we're ready. As soon as we can get the driveway issue worked out, we're ready to complete the building plans and move forward with it. So I know we talked about the whole development, but it could be a year, it could be 10 years before any of that other comes on, speaking to now. So that's why we're so concerned about the racetrack. Our competition has a good drive right into their facility. And that's why we try to, have what our competition has right there. So, but
Right.
I mean, we hope all this comes to fruition, but right now there's just, all we can talk about is that corner. So
The glass can always stay full.
Yes.
All right, sir. All right. With that being said, Alex, please. You have a question? All right. Gavin?
Yes, I had a question for the owner there. If you could come back up, if that was okay.
All right, just a moment, Gavin.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Do you currently have all of those properties under contract, or are you closed on all those?
We currently own the entire 32 acres.
Okay. Oh,
The only thing we have right now is we operate convenience stores and gas stations, and
Right.
we're a Burger King franchisee.
Yep.
We plan to go ahead with the corner, but as far as Any of the other parcels, we do not have any under contract. We don't even have any. We don't even have any tire kickers right now.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, in regards to the site plan, the conditions that the staff has placed on it, it's my understanding you have no issue with if the property was to be approved, for it to be approved with those conditions?
what?
You want us to pull up the conditions?
Yeah, could you clarify that?
Gavin, if I may, this is Guy.
Okay.
The only condition that the applicant is requesting to be modified is condition number 7. So none of the other conditions that you see listed are in play.
Okay, meaning they have already been.
Yes, sir. This one's already been approved. It was approved back 6 or 7 months ago.
I got you.
The rezone itself is done. Yes.
Got you. Okay, excellent.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to give you all a few more seconds and then we'll go into the motion section. Any more questions?
Well,
I see you want one.
Yeah, I'll make one more comment.
Sure. Mr. Hunt?
For Gavin's sake, this property owner had to buy the whole 32 acres because the previous owner wouldn't hear of just selling the 5 acres on the corner. And I guess the general public will be a little disappointed that the others aren't already contracted, because I don't know how many rumors I've heard that Publix is coming in there. So we do have to imagine that this gets built out, and we do have to keep that in mind. And as far as equity, they've got this property that we're considering has the lock on the westbound traffic. Will find it much more convenient to pull into this station with just the one driveway off of 78, and the southbound traffic on Mars Hill will also have an advantage coming in either driveway number 2 or some version of number 3 if they move it even further. But and that's similar to the racetrack the other way. They have the northbound Mars Hill traffic, and they have the westbound eastbound traffic blocked. So as far as equity, even without driveway 3, there's going to be a certain amount of equity. And I know that all the studies say that people pull into the gas station that's easiest to get in and out of, and right-hand turns are the way they usually go. So there's going to be a division of shopping other than, personal preferences. So the only other reservations that I have about not making a motion right this minute is this driveway has been moved since condition 7 was put in here. I assume the traffic people have looked at this new plan and still don't agree with it. Is that okay?
That's correct.
Okay. So that's the last of my comments. So I'll wait and see.
All right. Thank you, Chuck.
Hope Karen can hear better.
All right. We have discussed this, both the public, the owners, the agents. I'm going to ask for a motion to be placed on the table for rezone P20-0030, the one condition. So we got a motion. And also, Alex, I'm going to go back to you. You watch and let me know if any of our colleagues have a motion. Mr. Floyd.
I'll make a motion to deny the request.
Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Floyd to deny the request.
I'll second.
All right, there's a second by Mr. Strickland. With that stated, I'm going to go through the roll call. I'll start with those of us that are here in the building. We have Mr. Floyd is in agreement for the denial. Mr. Strickland is in agreement of the denial. Mr. Hunt?
I agree to deny.
All right, we have another agreement for denial. Let's go to our colleagues. Alex, if you want, do you want to go through them? You want me to call them out? It's however you want to play it. All right, sir. Let's start with Mr. Green. Scott, if we unmute you, we need we now have a denial for the motion.
I agree.
You agree to the denial, all right? Mr. Brian, Mr. Fosen, we need to know your vote. Do you agree to the denial or?
I agree to the denial.
All right. We got Mr. Hunt, was it? Karen Hilliard, do we have a vote from you, please?
Yes, I agree to the denial.
All right. Gavin, Ms. Jordan, can we get your vote, please?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I, at this time, would agree to the denial.
All right, sir. Thank you. Bruce, Mr. McPherson, do we have a vote from you, please, sir?
So I vote to deny.
All right, it's unanimous. All right. That being said, we've got a denial to rezone P20-0030, but it will go on. I think we've gotten some discussion on it. Thank you all. All right, the next order of business is rezone P20-0034, Lee Dorman and Courtney Tutton Dorman, plus or minus 3 acres. AG, that's an agricultural district, to AR3 agricultural residential 3-acre district east of Old Bishop Road residential. All right, Mr. Herring.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, that's P20-0034. The applicant and owners, Lee Warren Dorman and Courtney Tutton Dorman. Again, this is Old Bishop Road, 3 acres. They're requesting a rezone portion of the property from AG to AR3 in order to allow for an additional 3-acre residential lot. Staff recommends approval with conditions, and we'll go through those briefly. Again, here's the location just south of Watkinsville on Old Bishop. This is the portion of the property that they're requesting to cut out of the larger tract. Again, this is zoned AG, and it is in the country estates character area, which supports the request. Again, this is the 3-acre tract, remaining 7-acre tract under AG. And the only condition, staff recommends approval with one condition. Development design and structure shall meet or exceed the standards indicated on the concept plan, narrative, representative architectural sketches, and other documents submitted with the zoning application and attached here too. And this condition shall not construe approval of any standard that is not in conformity with the Unified Development Code. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Herring. All right, do we hear from the owner or agent? Welcome. Just fine, thank you.
My name is Lee Dorman. We live at 2026 Old Bishop Road. As you know, Oconee County allows 1 dwelling per parcel of land. And so what we are attempting to do is divide the land so that we may build what we hope is our final home on the 7 acres there on Old Bishop Road. A couple of reasons for the rezone itself is that right now we can divide 5 and 5 because of ag. Just topographically, if you look at that lot, it's a long rectangle lot that kind of gets narrow as it goes back. If you divide 5 and 5, it makes for a pretty weird looking divide to get what we need to where we would be able to build the house. As you can see on the track, the 3 acres squares off really well. It also fits with the ag residential 3 with the areas around us. There's several other parcels that are already listed as AR3 there on the larger concept plan, on the larger map. And then the other one of the main reasons why we hope to do this is from what we owe on the land and the house that we live in now. We live in the small house now. If we are able to divide it, it would give us 7 acres free and clear of debt to use as equity towards what we hope to be, like I said, our final home. The house, we never plan on selling the house and the 3 acres. We have aging parents that could live in it. It could be a rental property for us. we're under conservation and we're going to stay under conservation because it will be titled the exact same. So we're only 5 years into that, and it would be a penalty to turn around and try to sell it. So it's not something that we're trying to turn around and sell. We want to keep it, keep the land, keep the house, and then be able to build back on the back of the property.
If they have any questions, I'll ask you to come back up. Thank you, Mr. Dorman. All right, we do not have anyone signed in opposition. I'm going to ask if there's anyone in the public. Alex, I'm going to kind of go to you too. We have anyone from the public to speak in for or against? We have no one here in the public in the building. All right. So I'm going to close the public portion and turn it over to to my colleagues. Mike, I'm going to start with you. If you have any questions on this particular rezone. No questions from Mr. Floyd. Ms. Strickland, no questions. Mr. Camp, no questions. Alex, we'll go through our colleagues on Zoom. You want to start with Mr. Green? Mr. Green, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Fosen, do you have any questions? Brian?
Nope, no questions.
All right, thank you, sir. Karen Hilliard, do you have any questions, please?
No questions.
All right. Bruce, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you, Bruce. Ms. Gavin, Ms. Jordan, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
All right. With that being said, I'm going to bring it back to the table. I'd like to have a motion. I'm asking for a motion on the rezone.
I'll make a motion to approve rezone case P20-0034 with one condition recommended by staff.
All right, thank you, Mr. Strickland. Mr. Strickland has put a motion to approve. I need a second, please. Do any of our colleagues on Zoom have a second? All right, Brian.
I'll second that motion.
All right, thank you, Brian. So we have Ms. Strickland and Mr. Fosen, and we have a motion. I'm going to go through the roll call for yes or no. I'll start with Mr. Hunt. Do we have a yes or a no?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Of course, Mr. Strickland is yes. Mr. Hunt is yes. Mr. Floyd? We have Floyd. Okay, we have a yes. I'll start with Mr. Green. Scott, do we have a yes or a no from you, please, sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And let's see, Mr. Fosen, we have a yes.
Yep, I
All
agree.
right, sir. Karen, Mrs. Hilliard, do we have a yes or a no?
Yes.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. Gavin, Mr. Jordan, do we have a yes or a no?
We have a yes.
Thank you, sir. Bruce, Mr. McPherson, do we have a yes or a no?
You picked this.
There we go. Yes.
Did we get a yes from Bruce? All right, thank you, Bruce. All right, that being said, it's unanimous. It's approved. Thank you, sir. All right, moving along, number 5, rezone P20-0092, Connie D. West, plus or minus 7.72 acres, AG, which is agricultural district, to AR3, agricultural residential 3-acre district, east of McReese Gin Road and south of Ashford Road residential. Mr. Herring, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, this is P20-0092. Applicant Carter Engineering, property owner Connie West. Again, this is located at McCree's Gin Road and Ashford Road. It's approximately 7.72 acres. You see the location on the location map. It's currently zoned AG. It's single family residential. It's in Country Estates character area. Trying to change that slide. Let's see. There we go. AG and the character area of Country Estates, which supports the request. This is the larger tract that is proposed to be split into the two tracts. So they're requesting a rezone from AG to AR3 to allow for one additional 3-acre residential lot. Staff recommends approval with one condition. These are the proposed and homes, representative photos. Staff recommends approval with the one condition that development design and structure shall meet or exceed the standards indicated on the concept plan, narrative, representative architectural sketches, and other documents submitted with the zoning application and attached here too. And this condition shall not construe approval of any standard that is not in conformity with the Unified Development Code.
Thank you, Mr. Herring. Could we hear from the owner or agent, please? Welcome. How are you, sir?
Doing well, doing well.
All right.
Looks like I'm the last man standing.
Yeah, well.
But my name is Jesse West. I live at 1620 Lincoln Drive, Bogart, Georgia. And I'm here on behalf of Carter Engineering and our client, who is actually my mom. She is, my family has owned the property for 35 plus years. And I mean, I grew up on the property. I grew up in the same house that she's living in now. And ultimately, my wife and my daughter, we live in a townhome in Bogart. And so we could definitely use some more space. We want to have some more kids, and being close to my mom, especially as she's getting older, really would be great. She'd be able to see the grandkids more. She'd be able to see me more, which I think is great. But ultimately, like, she's also got way too many garden beds out there, and she really needs some help. And we would love to be able to just share our life with her and help out when we can. And so we're asking for the request to rezone it to AR3, because as it's zoned now, you have to have at least 5 acres. And since she only has 7+ acres, it doesn't add up. And so we're requesting the rezone so that we would have about 3 acres and my mom would keep the rest, about 4+ acres. And if you look at the exhibit, it's not up here, but it's provided in the narrative. I don't know if y'all have that, but I provided an exhibit there in the narrative with the narrative.
Yes.
And it basically shows kind of a radius of the properties along Ashford Road. Ashford Road is the only road off McCree Gym, and for the most part, it's a residential road. Most of the properties off of Ashford Road do not meet the 5-acre requirement for agricultural district. And so, to be honest, the subdividing the property as it is would actually look more similar to what's around the property as it stands. And so that's our request. I want to make it short and sweet because I know it's been a long night. But if you have any questions with our intent or about the project, just let me know and I'll gladly answer them.
All right. If they have any questions, I'll ask you to come back up, please, Mr. West. We do not have anyone listed in opposition. I will ask, do we have anyone out in the audience that would like to speak in opposition? There being none, I'm going to close the public portion. We'll move it back to our colleagues. Chuck, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right. Stephen?
No questions.
None. Mike? None. All right, let's go to our colleagues on Zoom. Okay, we'll start with Mr. Green, please.
No questions.
All right, sir. Okay. Brian, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Karen, do we have any questions, please?
No questions.
All right. Gavin, do you have any questions?
No question.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Bruce, do you have any questions?
No questions.
All right. Thank you. All right. With that being said, I'm going to ask if we can have a motion for the rezone P20-0092. And Alex, I'll ask you to see if there's any hands up with our colleagues in Zoom. All right. Let's go to them first, please.
Yes, I make a motion to approve this case P20-0092.
Was that Scott?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Scott. So you're asking for approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
To clarify, that was with one condition.
Thank you, guys.
Asked, please. Okay.
All right, all right, let's make sure that Scott is aware that there is the one condition. Would you unmute him, Al?
Yeah, absolutely. With the one condition.
Thank you, Scott. All right, and we have another hand raised for a second, possibly.
Yes, second.
All right, so we have a second. All right, we're going to go through the list, yes or no. I'll start with you, Chuck. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. From Stephen, yes. From Mike Floyd. Let's go down through our Zoom friends. We got a yes from Scott. Brian can you unzoom him? Brian, have we got a
yes.
All right. Okay. Karen?
Yes.
All right. Gavin, have we got a yes or a no? Oh, we have a yes from you, sorry.
Yep.
And Bruce, have we got a yes or a no?
Yes.
All right, so it's unanimous that we approve rezone P20-0092. Thank you, sir. For this unusual meeting, thanks to staff. You all have certainly done everything possible to make this work. Thank you to all of our colleagues that came in on Zoom, those of you that came to the meeting, Dr. Bell for taping it, and I'm going to call for a motion for adjournment. Have I got a motion? All right, we've got a motion from Stephen and a second from Chuck, and if I don't hear any kind of disagreement, we are adjourned at 8:30 p.m. Thank you, sirs.